as you prepare for Thanksgiving up ahead and running your grocery list and getting all the ingredients, I hope you remember what it's all about: the laughter, the cooking, the cold walks, the family time, the taking care of animals, taking care of the home. That is what it is all about for us. And on this video, I'm going to be focusing on the food. Although it's not Thanksgiving as the day I'm filming this, I practiced a lot of our Thanksgiving recipes ahead of time so that I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to take you along and invite you into my kitchen as I throw together several Thanksgiving recipes. Some of them are traditional and some of them are not. And I hope they give you some inspiration to enjoy your Thanksgiving and cook from scratch with the ingredients you have. One of my other favorite ingredients for Thanksgiving is, of course, pumpkin. So I have this pumpkin that's just been sitting on our counter. I've been meaning to break it open. So I just slice it down the middle, take out the seeds, and of course you can make roasted pumpkin seeds with those or give them to your chickens. I did that last year, and I think we had some pumpkins growing in our yard this year, so that can happen too. And then you just roast it, and I'm going to use this pumpkin in the next recipe and freeze the rest of it for another time. Okay, we are gonna run out the door today, so we're making a quick pumpkin soup. We're gonna throw this together with whatever we have. I think we have some sausage, mushrooms, fresh pumpkin, bone broth, and the rest will be just the flavors: onion, garlic, herbs. And we're gonna get that together as fast as possible because we've got kids here, and we're gonna go on a walk and be back, and that will be ready for us. Hold on with the fridge. Beautiful, huh? The sausage on the Dutch oven olive oil. So for this recipe, I chopped up onion, garlic, mushroom, and I sauteed some breakfast sausages that we had in the fridge. This is kind of a throw everything in your fridge kind of meal. It turned out very decadent and very delicious, but I truly just threw everything I had in my fridge in there. I added my homemade bone broth, and then of course the pumpkin. Now, I did not puree this pumpkin. It would have been better if it was pureed, but I don't mind the stringiness, so we were totally fine with it. It added a great sweet flavor. And I spiced it up with turmeric, cinnamon, and ginger, and of course salt and pepper. I added some cream and some einkorn flour to thicken it. And I also melted cheese inside. This was a perfect winter cold weather meal to come home to after a walk to the park. I served it with rice. Okay, today I'm making butternut squash mac and cheese to go with cod for dinner tonight. My parents are coming over and we bought a nice 2 pounds of cod. We're switching from salmon to cod because it's winter time. We love our salmon in the summertime, and now it's time for cod, which is fine. Cod is great. So we're gonna cook a white cod, and I'm gonna think about what to do with the cod. I have to cook this butternut squash up, so I'm gonna make my famous butternut squash mac and cheese, which is mac and cheese with a butternut squash. Great way to sneak in vegetables for kids if your kids like mac and cheese. My toddler does not. I haven't figured out how to get her to like mac and cheese, which is weird because that's a typical kid food, but I sure do. So I'm gonna make this. So first I'm gonna peel this butternut squash, roast it in the oven so I can use it in the mac and cheese tonight. I have this recipe on the blog, tbsp.com, so if you want to just go there and print it off, it's very easy, or you can just watch this video. But the printable recipe card is on the blog. I'll leave a link below. Butternut squashes are pretty easy to prepare because they're very easy to cut. A pumpkin is usually harder than this, so I like doing squashes whenever I can because it's a little bit easier, so I can do it faster. This cat eats everything. She's not supposed to eat cheese. I guess cats like milk, so maybe they are supposed to eat cheese. For the cream, I'm gonna add this raw milk. This is kind of like half and half because basically when I get raw milk, I get a whole gallon and the cream is always sitting at the top. And this kitten loves milk, so that's why she's bothering me right now. And so this is essentially half heavy cream and half milk. I don't know if you can see the cream line, but it's very beautiful and very delicious. And I'm gonna be sad because I usually enjoy this in my coffee. So I'm gonna be donating this to the mac and cheese, but that's all right. Have fresh sage, it's always best in this recipe. This sage is on its last leg. I'm gonna have to pull off some pieces here, but I will also supplement with some dried sage as well. Do you want sage? Guess I don't have dried sage, so I'm gonna be using rosemary. I'm also gonna add a little bit of paprika. So now I'm gonna make the cheese mixture. I'm gonna combine a cup and a half of cheddar cheese, or you can mix and match Parmesan, etc. 3/4 cup bone broth, 2 tablespoons heavy cream, half a teaspoon salt, half a teaspoon cinnamon, 2 tablespoons fresh sage, and meanwhile I'm going to salt some water for the pasta. So I'd roast this for closer to an hour. Now that I think about it, the best way to do it is to skin it, chop it up into cubes, and then roast it because the cubes will roast super fast. So if you have time on the front end to do the chopping, then the back end will be really easy because you'll roast it really fast. But if you don't, then it's gonna take longer in the oven. And you just wanna slowly add those ingredients on low, keeping them stirred. And when the butternut squash is done, you can take it out and add it straight to that pot and keep stirring until it's all combined. This is one of my favorite fall recipes. I love the flavors of butternut squash and cinnamon with the spaghetti, and the cod is a nice supplement with that. Today we're gonna get ready for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is next week. I'm gonna be practicing some of these recipes because I haven't made them for a year now. So I kind of have to brush up on how to do it. I'm starting with mashed potatoes. This is something that I should probably make all year round, but I just never really do. I'm gonna be cutting up these potatoes into chunks, boiling them, making a nice creamy, milky, buttery, maybe cheesy sauce to go inside, and I hope to come up with a creamy mashed potato. I don't make mashed potatoes very often because I'm very picky. I don't like them to be too dry. I'm just all about the texture. And of course the taste. I like the garlic and the salt and the cream, so hopefully I can achieve that today. I'm also gonna throw together a cranberry sauce. We just picked up cranberries from our local market. To those I'm gonna add lemon, cranberries. I know you're supposed to add oranges technically, but I don't have any orange, so I'm gonna be doing lemon, some cinnamon, and maple syrup as a sweetener. So hopefully that comes out good as well. Both my babies are gonna be waking up from their naps soon, so they'll probably be joining in this video at any moment. I'm gonna be serving this dinner with cod. Now I talked to you guys a few weeks ago about my love for salmon and how it is sadly out of season. So we are switching to cod. The time has come. The salmon chapter has ended. The cod chapter has begun. So I officially am buying cod now because it's fresh in our area. I don't know about you, but we live on the coast. We're very thankful for that up in the Pacific Northwest. And so we get salmon and cod. We get a lot of great fish. That's just my favorite. So I don't like buying previously frozen fish. It's just not as good. So you gotta buy what's in season. So right now we've got fresh cod coming off the boats. So I picked up a nice couple of fillets actually. So we're gonna be serving that tonight. So the meal is going to be cod, asparagus, and mashed potatoes with cranberry sauce. A little bit of Thanksgiving touch, but also pretty typical for my Tuesday night, which is what it is tonight. Might have to make up some pasta too for my toddler if she doesn't like the mashed potatoes. Sauce recipe calls for 8 ounces of cranberries, 3/4 cup water, and 3/4 cup white sugar. I am not going to add all that white sugar because that just seems like a lot to me. About 1/8 of a cup of white sugar. You know what? I was gonna add maple syrup, but I just realized I don't have any. So I'm going to add honey instead. And a little bit of cinnamon. I'm just gonna whisk those ingredients together and then add the cranberries, let those cook up for a while. Meanwhile, the mashed potatoes are boiling, getting them nice and soft, and then I'll strain them when they're finally done. To the mashed potatoes, I'm gonna make a mixture of butter, milk, cream, salt, and garlic powder. I used to cut up garlic for mashed potatoes directly, but I don't think my toddler will like having chunks of garlic in the mashed potatoes, and I think the garlic powder will just mix a lot better. I'm a big fan of garlic powder. I also really love garlic. I can eat garlic raw, but definitely not something I would serve my toddler. Speaking of toddlers, she's up now, so she's gonna join me in finishing these mashed potatoes, which is a perfect task for her because she can just go ahead and mash them up, and she really enjoyed doing this. Sadly, I thought that her preparing the meal would allow her to enjoy the aroma of it and then ultimately enjoy the taste, but she did not like it when I served it to her, so we will keep working on that. I'm also going to add some cream cheese, get that really nice and melted, and then slowly pour in my mixture of the butter, etc., and it's just going to be creamy and delicious. For the cod, I prepare it just like I prepare salmon with some olive oil, quick seasoning, and of course butter. And then I roast that at 375 for about 11 minutes. This was a delicious meal. The cranberry sauce on the mashed potatoes with asparagus and even cod, which is not obviously a traditional Thanksgiving food. It was just so good. We really, really enjoyed it. I also quickly threw together these green beans. I cook these all of the time, so these are not really specific for Thanksgiving to us, but I just steam them on the stove for about 10 minutes. I add butter and salt, and they are perfect every time. For Thanksgiving, I'll probably add bacon. That's my favorite to go with the green beans. Okay, both the babies are sleeping. I am in the process of cleaning up the kitchen after lunch, and I need to get my sourdough bread started because I'm going to be making sourdough bread stuffing for Thanksgiving. And I'm just cooking it casually for my family for dinner or lunch in the next couple of days. I'm not sure when I'm going to serve it. Stuffing doesn't have to be just for Thanksgiving. It can be something that you make all the time if you have bread and mushrooms and celery and all the necessary ingredients. So I'm just gonna whip up my bread recipe really quick. This is my every day, every week bread recipe. It's 3/4 cup sourdough starter, 1.5 cup filtered water, 1.5 teaspoons salt, whisk that together, just under 4 cups of flour. It's a great, very simple recipe, especially for beginners when it comes to sourdough bread, if you wanna make your own bread at home. You do need an active sourdough starter, so if you don't have that, I'll leave a link below to how you can make your own. You just need flour and water. From there you can make breads, bagels, pancakes, waffles. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this sit on my counter with a tea towel over the top, and you might see me do some stretch and folds. I don't know if we'll get my camera out for them or not, but I will use this in a couple days for the sourdough stuffing once it's finally ready. I just get bread going kind of all the time. I don't even know what I'm gonna make with it half the time, but we eat so much French toast in this house that I'm never wasting bread, so I just go ahead and make it. Whenever I get low, I just make some more. I will leave the full recipe for the bread if you want to learn how to make your own bread and you're new. This is a great recipe because it outlines step by step each thing you have to do and when you have to do it. So hopefully it'll take some of the guesswork out. It's the first bread recipe that I ever really got good at bread making with, and I really figured it out on my own. And I tried to explain it really well, and I've had a lot of people actually respond and say, thank you, finally your bread recipe made sense to me. So if you are looking to do that, I will leave a link for that below. So now that my bread is ready, I'm going to chop it up and use it for a quick stuffing recipe for lunch. Now the key to good homemade stuffing is to toast the bread cubes in the oven until they are nice and crispy. So I just drizzle them with olive oil, add some salt, put them in the oven at about 350 for about 10 or 12 minutes until they are nice and crispy. This is so that they won't become soggy when you put this stuffing mixture in them. I'm going to chop up some onions, garlic. I have some celery already in the freezer, and I'm gonna saute those in butter on the cast iron. I'm going to add herbs, fresh rosemary, sage, and thyme. Also mushrooms. Then I'm going to add my homemade bone broth, 1 egg to this mixture, add that to the bread, let it soak. Now I'm just trying this recipe out, so I'm going to use my phone and my notes app to mark down more precise measurements so that I can post it on the blog. My daughter is about to wake up and we're gonna go to the park this morning. We're having a really sunny and cold couple of days stretch, and so I'm trying to get out as much as possible because when we have a lot of rain, it's just harder to get out. Even though I'm okay doing it, it's harder when you have kids to get out in the rain, as you know. So when it's sunny out, I'm like, let's get out. Even if it's 35 degrees out, we are outside in the sun. One thing about the cold that I love is it makes kids hungry. It makes me hungry too. And so I'm trying to get this meal prepped now so that when I get back, I can easily cook it very quickly. So I'm going to try to cut up the ingredients right now during breakfast before we go to the park, and that way it'll save on the meal prep time later. I'm gonna be serving this with chicken. I'm going to cook this chicken on the skillet in some butter and herbs. These are our boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I'm going to just saute them on my skillet with some olive oil, butter, salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder, and herbs. You can serve this up with the stuffing, which I will probably do, or you can just have it on the side, which is how I'm sure my daughter will like it better that way. If you are a sourdough bread maker, you must try this recipe. This was so delicious. I will try to leave some notes down in the description below, even though I don't have it posted on my blog yet. I ended up making some homemade gravy with this as well. Just threw some einkorn flour and bone broth back in that skillet and just got all the juices up there. It was so delicious. Well, I hope you enjoyed these delicious fall Thanksgiving inspired recipes and it gave you some inspiration on what you could cook this week. If you're brand new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Every week I post a new video on farm to table recipes and homemade natural living. Thank you so much for stopping by the Duvall Homestead. Thank you so much for joining me for this cooking video, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.